Welcome to Small Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We're officially starting here. Thanks for joining me and tuning in. That's one of my favorite little recordings. I roped my wife and now 7-year-old, he just turned 7 on Thursday, into recording some audio for me, and they were awesome. And in fact, they just left to go to the park, so I will be joining them as soon as we're done. Actually, big day for Mr. Lewis, my 7-year-old. He is having his his birthday was Thursday, but we're having his birthday party today. So to say he is geeked up would be an understatement. We're going to a trampoline place with about 20 of his friends. So should be chaos and a lot of fun. All right. Well, like I said, I wanted to talk about hiring employees today. And again, feel free to pop your comments in about any experiences you had or thoughts that you have. I know a lot of small businesses out there don't have any employees yet, but you will one day. And so being able to kind of get out in front of this and be prepared and really start thinking about it in advance is probably one of the best things you can do when it comes to hiring. So, attracting the right employees and retaining them is super important. In fact, we've talked a lot on these videos or in my podcast or other things like that about marketing and finding customers and sales and all this other stuff and how much work we put into that. And honestly, finding the right employees and keeping them is as important as that, maybe even a little bit more, because at the end of the day, your employees are going to be who retains your customers for you. So I've got about 3 quick tips here that I learned. Like I said early on, I've been involved in hiring some people, and it's one of the most difficult things that I've ever done. In fact, I would say my track record is probably pretty poor up until a couple of years ago when I was able to kind of figure some of these things out. I had an opportunity to go to a seminar, somebody that was that's what they did. They did consulting for hiring, and it was really eye-opening to me. So I took a bunch of info back from that and kind of distilled it down into these 3 tips. So number 1, set up a hiring process for your company. Just like any process that happens, just like how do you ship something? How do you make something? How do we sell something? What's our marketing plan? Hiring needs to be a process, that way, because what happens in hiring is we get the emotions in the way of it a little bit too much. We're interacting with people. We like this person, we don't like this person, but we don't really know if they're going to be a fit. So we need to figure out an actual process, a way to kind of score things. That way we can be more objective about hiring. So one of the things that, I would recommend doing is actually seeking out an expert in the field and getting some training on the actual hiring process. That's what I was able to do through the seminar, and followed that up with a consulting session with him. And, I was able to kind of set up a process. How do you ask the right questions? How do you attract the right kind of people to the job? And go from there. So make sure that you have a systematic scoring process in place, and then your search becomes a bit more data driven and a lot less gut feel, because unfortunately the gut sometimes does us wrong. If you've got a bad feeling about somebody, okay, you're probably right. But if you've got a good feeling about somebody, there's a chance you could be wrong with that. And that's happened to me before. And, nobody likes to fire anybody. I wouldn't say nobody. There was certainly a show made around that premise. And I have known a couple of people that actually got excited for firing people, but most people don't enjoy having to let somebody go. So that's number 1, set up a process, make sure that it's a process. And again, for those of you small businesses that don't have any employees yet, now's the perfect time, because you can really, you're not having to rush into it because, oh my God, I need somebody right now. You can start this process. You can start crafting things and picking and choosing. So, the next part, number 2 here, is to think, when it is time to hire somebody or you need to get somebody in there, think of the job posting as more of a sales ad. We oftentimes, when we write a job post, we go out there and we say, you have to be this, you have to have this, you have to have this much college. These are the things you have to do, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the way we would sell our products. We don't go to our customers and say, you have to do this, you have to be this. If you don't like it, don't bother reaching out to us. So if you flip that around to your jobs, if you're saying you have to do this, you have to do this, most people are going to go, that doesn't sound like it's the right thing for me. And if you think about the candidates that are out there currently aggressively seeking work, they are currently unemployed. And occasionally, probably more often than not, those unemployed folks are unemployed for a reason. It could be something good. It could be something bad. Maybe they're really not a good employee. And, if they've jumped from job to job every year, maybe they've got some problems they've got to work out in their own lives. So think about that. If they're aggressively seeking work, they're unemployed for a reason. And those are the people you're going to attract with the job posts that say, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. You're trying to find a fit for your company. You're trying to find somebody that's going to love coming to work every day and that you're going to love working with every day. So make sure that when you're writing your job post, that you're writing it more as a sales ad. Talk about the opportunities, why you're a good boss to work for. Good morning, Stephen. Glad you could join us. So talk about some of those things. Talk about, the positives. Then once you attract those candidates, then you can get into what your requirements are and figure out if they're a fit for you. But on the front end of it, when you're trying to attract good candidates, you don't want to make it, you don't want to turn everybody away. You want to get as many of these as you can, and then let your hiring process weed people out for you, not make your ad weed people out for you, because you're going to pass up the good potential candidates. So honestly, the candidates that you want are the people that aren't aggressively seeking work, that might be on the fence, that they could change jobs, or they're possibly looking. Those employees are going to be way better than the people that are currently unemployed. So, not saying you can't find a good employee with a currently unemployed pool of candidates, but your chances of success are going to be much higher from that other bucket. So make it more of an ad, and then you go from there. So that's number 2. Number 3, the interviewing process is, you must be good at it. And if you're not, you need to get a professional. That is probably one of the most important things when it comes to hiring. Hiring is to actually improve your interviewing skills. So one of the most, I guess, the biggest reason that people are horrible at finding out what candidates are really like is because we've sat on that side of the table where we've been looking for a job. So we know how difficult it is. And but here's an important piece to remember when you're thinking about interviewing somebody, that to remember this: we're only perfect 2 times in our lives. The second we're born and the day we write our resume. We can do no wrong when we're writing our resumes. So we don't really know what we're looking at when we're talking to somebody across the table. So we do have to ask the right questions. More often than not, we ask questions that just lead people into the answer that we're looking for. So think about this. If I ask somebody, I'm interviewing you, and I said to you, well, at this job, it's really important that you're a good multitasker. Are you a good multitasker? Do you think somebody's going to say, no, I can't multitask? No, not me. They're absolutely going to say, yeah, I can multitask. I'll figure that out. So, that's what normally happens. So what the question should be is, give me some examples of how in your past experiences you were a multitasker. So you want to really dig in and understand what their past experiences can bring to your company. Because one other thing here that you want to think about is when you're interviewing somebody is they may have been the super rock star at their last job, and it may have been a company that you feel might be nearly identical to yours, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to get this great employee that already knows the industry, already knows all this other stuff. But understand that the environment that they were in that last job is completely different from the environment they're coming into your job. So just because they're a rock star at a similar position doesn't mean they're going to be a rock star in your business. So you have to ask all the questions to figure out how they're going to fit into your culture and how you do business. So you may be really customer focused and customer centric, and you ask somebody, how would you handle this situation? And if you cringe at their answer, trust me, it's not going to get better. Something like being customer focused is not something that you can teach necessarily. They have to be empathetic to start. So, don't be afraid to use things like personality tests and things like that, and have them actually do the job for a little bit as far as, set up some tests and things like that. So there are the 3 tips that I have. Anybody have any thoughts, tips, feedback? What do you guys do when you hire somebody? Give you guys a second to respond in the comments section there. Also, I'm going to put this in the comments myself. Back in 2015, May of 2015, we did a podcast on this subject and this was right after I went to that seminar. So lots of really good stuff in there. So I'm going to post a link to that into the comments section there. There we go. You can check that out. Excuse me. That was back when we were doing audio only podcast before we found Be Live TV. So awesome service that we're using. All right. Anybody have any feedback before we call it a morning here? All right, I'm gonna head off to the park here, but I did want to just make sure that I also say Happy Mother's Day to all of the wonderful mothers out there, or wonderful ladies that act as mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, the whole 9. You guys are the ones that make the world tick. So I can't wait to celebrate with my wife tomorrow. She's an amazing mother, and also. Oh, good stuff. I want to hold on one second. I'm going to grab Cheryl's comment here because I think Cheryl's somebody that I completely respect and have a ton of respect for, that I just said. But, she's done a lot of things in her career, and she says, I've hired many and made lots of mistakes. Employees can make or break a company. Absolutely. That's a 100% true statement, Cheryl. Thank you so much. That's why I think, this is such an important thing to learn and to spend some time in. And I'd love to talk more with people about this subject. Like I said, I've done some hiring and there we go. Cool. I got it, Cheryl. You are the bomb. We'll get this figured out. This is still new here for me as far as a little bit more of an interactive format. So still got a little ways to go to get the rhythm down, so to speak, of the whole thing. So good stuff. Awesome. Well, let me go back one more time and just say Happy Mother's Day. And to my mother, thank you so much. I don't know if you got a chance. I was talking to her this morning on Facebook, so maybe she tuned in. Mom, if you're there, I love you. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. It's been a great 15 minutes here of chatting. And Cheryl, Martha, Stephen, thank you guys so much for your contributions and joining me. And I will talk to you guys again next week. Let me know what you guys want to talk. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is good stuff. Okay, I'm not going to go away. I'm going to hang tight here, Cheryl, because I know, like I said, I'm still checking out the rhythms here. One of the biggest lessons I have learned is what you said. Don't go with a gut. Yes. Hey, I have done that so many times, and I have paid the price for it. Some of the biggest headaches that I've ever had were the ones where it was like, well, I think, my gut's telling me this is a good, where my head was saying that maybe this is not a good one. This is another good tip here. Cheryl shared, if they are late for the interview, they will be late for work. Absolutely. So you got to make them do the skills that are important to you, make them show those skills. And one of the reasons that sometimes we end up in these bad situations where we kind of hire somebody on our gut more than on logic is because we are desperately in need of somebody. Maybe we lost an employee, but we don't have that pool, so you should always be hiring as a company. You may not actually hire somebody right away. You're looking for somebody that maybe is looking to change jobs at some point down the road. You're looking at somebody that, you want to get a pool of these people. So if you do lose an employee, you can just, it's kind of like going to the bullpen. Okay, let's go talk to some of these people and make sure that they're a fit. But if it's a frantic, oh my God, I'm buried. Now I'm doing 3 jobs and I need to hire 2 people by next week, it's going to be tough. Your pool that you're going to be pulling from is really difficult. And you're probably going to end up going with your gut because, there are, if anybody has ever done any hiring out there, unfortunately, when you do that, you are going to get a lot of people that are unemployed for a reason. They haven't figured out how to have the job skills that the market needs yet. They're checking a box more so for keeping, I had a guy come in and interview one time, and it seemed like an okay guy all the way up until the point that we really started talking about things. And he was proud of the fact that he was a 99 weeker. I mean, he was actually enjoying being unemployed. And do you think that somebody that's enjoying being unemployed is going to want to come to work and really put in a lot of effort? Probably not. So, we had to pass on him, and maybe, he was able to go out and get things changed and improve things. But, those folks, they got to change something in their lives too. You can try to help people out, and there's nothing wrong with giving somebody a shot that you feel like deserves it. But make sure your expectations are really clear. That interview process also, one other point that I guess I should have made is that interview process is really important because that's also where you lay out what the expectations of the job is. So, yeah, this is a great topic that we could probably spend a lot of time on actually. And wind me up and let me go. But we actually talked about a lot of this stuff in that podcast too. So be sure to check that out. And head over to my website, aaronmontgomery.info, and about me contact page there. Or if you want to set up a time to do a little consulting interview, I have an opportunity to do that, to ask me advice basically on that page. So check it out. And I think that's going to actually cover us. We go there, aaronmontgomery.info. Sign up for my newsletter that comes out monthly. We'll probably talk a little bit about hiring in there. Probably need to freshen up the blog post that I have on that topic there. And all right. Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, Martha. Awesome. Signing off. Bye-bye.